2, 1, what's up? Today we're looking at from A to Z, done in Java from the site Codewars.com. Let's look at the instructions for this one. I like this one. Given a string indicating a range of letters, return a string which indicates all the letters in that range, including the last letter. Note that if the range is given in capital letters, return the string in capitals also. So with this one, you are producing a range of letters. Looking at the inputs over here, you have letter dash letter, the first letter being earlier in the alphabet than the second letter. You're kind of asked to fill in the yada yada, fill in the blank, or fill in the dash with actual alphabet letters in consecutive alphabetic order. And you need to also handle capital letters as part of this. So it needs to be, I guess, case sensitive, as they say, where if you get uppercase argument, you need to produce an uppercase range of letters. So really, yeah, it's first letter dash second letter, and the output needs to be an entire alphabetic consecutive range in your return. Take in a string, return a string. There's your inputs and outputs. So how might you do this? In programming languages in general, there's no internal knowledge of the order of the alphabet. So you can't just, with some function, just say, oh, let's go from D to T and give me all the letters consecutively. There's no real built-in thing. So you could either create a string that contains the consecutive letters of the alphabet and use that as a template to produce the range. Another tactic that I'm going to use in this one is going to be to use the ASCII character codes of the letters to produce my range. Because when you look at the ASCII chart, of course, the letter characters are going to be in alphabetical order. So you just kind of, you map to that, and they're going to be in alphabetical order. They're going to have numerical equivalents. So to get the order, you will convert them to their ASCII decimal equivalents, and then just iterate through the numbers forward consecutively to produce the letters. So some may ask, what the hell is the ASCII chart? Well, I'll show you very quickly. Of course, you can Google it or ChatGPT it, but I'll give you this little skinny very quickly, and not that. There's an ASCII chart right here. Let's see if I can increase a little bit here. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. So hopefully you can see it, but the ASCII chart is really internally characters on your system. They are mapped to numbers internally, and of course computers deal with numbers internally, and they're mapped to characters so that we can read them, but internally they're going to be numbers. And in this chart really details the conversions from characters in various numbering systems to numbers. So let's focus on really on these two columns over here, because these contain alphabet. You see uppercase over here, lowercase over here, in the char column. Now look at the uppercase A. If you go over here, you see that uppercase A maps to a decimal 65. That is A's ASCII decimal code. And in Java, you can convert back and forth between a character A and a 65. Really, my tactic in doing this exercise is going to be to take whatever letter it is, convert it to its ASCII decimal equivalent, and then iterate forward consecutively until the end of the range. And for each number I go consecutively, I'm going to convert that number to its ASCII equivalent, or its character equivalent. Let's think about let's say we're going to go from, if you can see this up here, capital A to capital J. That'll be our range. So with A, you would convert it to a 65, then you'll just count forward until you get to whatever J's code is, which is 74. So you convert to 65. Let's kind of iterate forward a few turns. Iterate forward to 66, really like using a for loop. Or start at 65, go to 66. 66 is B, so we would convert 66 to B, and that would be the next letter in our range. So like we can just start this where the A would get converted. Well, you've already got the A. Iterate forward to 66, there's your B. Forward to 67, there's your C. Forward to 68, there's your D. And hopefully you can get kind of follow the pattern. And it's going to go all the way to J, which is 74. So I'd kind of set up a loop where it says, the loop would say, starting at whatever the character code for the first letter is, the condition would be iterate forward until you hit the character code for the second letter. And for each iteration, you're going to be converting the decimal to a letter and concatenating it to a string. So there's a condensed form of what I'm going to be doing, a condensed explanation of what I'm going to be doing in the code. And I've already got the code together, so I'll shift over to that tab so I can explain it to you. Over here in Online GDB. Shout out to the folks at Online GDB, one of the better online IDEs, and no, they are not a sponsor. I just use them frequently. Okay, this method right here is the solution. Let's take a look. Takes in a string, and this one right here, this variable, this is going to be my final string that I'm going to put my range into. Initially, it's going to be blank. And the real meat of this method is simply a for loop, where in my for loop, I'm going to create an integer I as my starting point, and the integer I is going to be the decimal equivalent of the ASCII character. So that is done via this conversion right here. Really this casting. In Java, when you cast a character to an integer, it gives you the ASCII decimal equivalent. And then if you take a decimal, an integer number, and you cast it to a character, it'll give you the character associated with that integer. So it's kind of a cool back and forth where that conversion happens. So yeah, play around with that a little bit and check it out. But what I'm doing here is I'm getting the integer conversion of whatever character is at the beginning of my string. Let's use the example of A to J once again. I'm getting the integer equivalent of that character code, and A's character equivalent, I'll do it down here, it's 65, as we saw from the chart. So if we were doing from A to J, this would be starting at 65. So you could kind of hard code it mentally to say I equals 65. And then the condition over here is going to be, while I is less than or equal to another ASCII conversion. And this would be my ending point, while my starting point is not equal to my ending point. And this is going to be the character at index 2. when you have a string like this, A to J, A is 0, dash is 1, and the second letter is 2, index 2. So if we're going to mentally hard code this, this would be the integer ASCII equivalent of J, which is 74. So you can break this loop down to say I equals 65. While I is less than or equal to 74, I plus plus. It's going to give me my range. And then what am I going to do in the body? In the body, I'm going to concatenate the character equivalent, really converting back from the ASCII integer to the character. So this will end up being the number 65 through 74 as you go along. First time I will be 65. 65 converted to a character is going to be an A. 66 converted to a character is going to be a B, and so on. So it's just going to go run through all of them, and for each one concatenate to range. Range will be my range of alphabetic characters, consecutive. And once I'm done with that, I return my range, and that's it. Let's take this one for a spin. I've already got my code set up here down in my main method. So I'll run it. And I've already got my test data of R to X. And we see that it works, and it works for uppercase. And the cool thing about this method is that it is already case sensitive. It already handles uppercase, lowercase because of the way we're doing it. I'll just leave it at that. Let's do lowercase a to lowercase j. You see that totally works. We'll do one last one. Let's do C to Z. Get a lot of letters up in there. C to Z, that one's good. Awesome, awesome. This is ready to drop into the Codewars arena. So Codewars is right here. Let me drop it in. Get these, well, I've already got these points. I did this one a long time ago, originally. I'm just going to show you that it passes. Hopefully it does. You never know. Don't get too braggadocious. All right, that one passes, and that's good. So here's the code once again. And this one is from A to Z in Codewars. Now go about your day, keep coding, have some fun out there, and I'll talk to y'all again soon. I'm out.